Alrighty, good evening, YouTube. James here back with another quick movie review. This one's another Singleton classic. It stars Tupac Shakur and Janet Jackson. This is Poetic Justice. Movie also has guy Torry. No, his brother Joe Torry. One of the Torry brothers. Regina King. Maya Angelou. Who else is in this? I'm thinking. Yeah, I think that's majority of everybody. Watch me leave somebody out, and then I'm gonna speak up on it later. But this movie follows the character of Justice, who's very good at poetry, and she's very good at poetry, and pretty much at the beginning of the movie, she has a relationship. Oh yeah, Q-Tip's in this, but he's the one I'm about to talk about right now. But what was it? She has a relationship with Q-Tip's character. Then he ends up getting killed in the beginning of the film, and then she just shuts out from dating anyone. And of course, this movie takes place in L.A., so gang violence, was very high, in the '90s. But pretty much, it's really a story of a woman who was you know, had suffered tragedy with loving people, and then they either get killed or let her down. I know one of her best friends is a little bit of an alcoholic, and she even said, my mom used to do that shit, and I don't like that. I'm tired of it. Oh yeah, and of course I was right. Tone Lock is in this film too, but he only had a small role. Like I said, always one person I always forget. So Tupac's character plays a mail carrier, and Janet Jackson's character Justice works in this beauty supply store, and he's the mailman, and he tries to pick her up every other day. Now, Tupac's character in this, I am not going to compare him to Jody that much because, of course, the character doesn't live in his mom's house, and he has a good, stable job, but he does have a daughter, and you know, he did this movie, I think, right after Juice. And it's kind of a funny story because he was supposed to be a menace to society also, but when he got off of Juice and he was, in that I'm a hard ass dude mode, and he wasn't mature enough, that's pretty much what got him fired off the movie. And of course, you know, with this jail, situation, he lost a role out to higher learning as well. But the good thing, the brother had did some other, notable roles that, he did three. Yeah, I think the year that he died, and they had came out like the following year. People even thought he was still alive, but I'll talk more about that later. But even he stated in the Tupac Resurrection, you know, this role was different from Juice, and I want to say in a way he was glad he had took it because John really wanted him to be in this. He liked, working with hip hop artists, especially the ones who can act. And you know, like I said, he calmed himself down, and of course he can relate, with the whole single parent thing and that story. And he did a very, very good, performance. And ironically, even in the story, one of his cousins in the movie was supposed to be, he was working on this hip hop rap thing, and he even, put his money in the equipment. And it was kind of a funny thing how it was a reflection on and off Tupac. Same thing, with Juice. Even though he wasn't directly in the music, a secondary character, yeah, was deep into the whole DJing thing. But it was a tragedy in that movie. His brother had got, or his cousin had got shot. He took the equipment and did something with it. I kind of wanted to see that story because the movie concludes with Lucky and or Tupac's character Lucky and Justice, picking up the pieces where they had the misunderstanding because he kind of blamed her, for messing around too much, yeah, with her he could have been there to protect his cousin, but I really think he could have died, from being, being there. So pretty much, and what I'm really talking about, they were making a journey to Oakland, and they made a few stops, and if Janet's character wasn't there, all that possibly wouldn't have happened. But like I said, again, my apologies, for jumping around. You really have to see the movie or just read about it. My review, pretty much, I would give this film like a 4 out of 5, mainly because I just wanted to, to see more. 9 times out of 10, like, what did their life look like after the movie had ended? That's my only real bad criticism. And with this movie, it's really underrated as well. The main appeal, of course, that Tupac is in it, but everyone else had did a very good job. Regina King did her thing. Joe Torry had did his thing, and the list goes on and on. Maya Angelou was in this. She wrote all the poetry that you hear in the film, and this movie also has some stories behind the scenes. Maya Angelou also has a cameo in this at that barbecue picnic, and they were saying when they were shooting this scene, particularly in one day, Tupac had went off on somebody behind the scenes, and they're about to get into a fight, and then Maya had actually calmed him down, and it pretty much had brought Pac to tears. And at that time, Pac was known as a hardhead, and I want to say this was either before or it could have been after he had shot those cops here in Atlanta, and he had a facade or a character about him where he had two sides, and I really believe people had this in general. He had, the hardcore side that he put on to protect, his friends and his family, but he also had a softer side if you got to sit there and know him. And Pac knew a lot of people. I saw another interview with what was it with Michael Jai White and on Vlad TV, and he said, yeah, he literally had put on that facade because when the two of them would hang out, the two of them were very competitive in pool. And he said when another person had walked to the room, he'll act all hard and shit. And again, I can relate because I do some dudes who were that, hard-headed too. But if it's just the two of us, that can talk about nerd stuff and anything else, with me, whether it's comic books or kung fu movies or, something of my interest. But if it's someone who they know isn't into that stuff walks around them, then they got to put on, a shield or a mask. And it's funny because I didn't say this in the Dark Knight review, mainly about the Two-Face character, because they said it on the documentary. We all, play different identities, and I'm probably gonna say it again in the Matrix because Cornel West has said it in one of his writings. And even with that concept of the Matrix, the Wachowskis that said some of his writings that made it into that film. How you treat authority, how you are around, your loved ones, how you are, the people who you don't know. You put on a different facade anyway of etiquette, but it sucks because that's really not you. Again, going back to my comic book, or the one I'm doing now, it's really about the 5 taboos of what not to say during a conversation when you meet someone. Hell, some of that stuff you can't even say, even if you do know someone. Like some people in my family, and here it goes. It's politics, religion, sex, social class, race, and I'm probably forgetting one, but those, I've written it down. It's pretty much another one. I think it's an economic status. So, but the top ones is pretty much say sex, race, politics, and religion. But that's pretty much all I have to say about this film. A lot of things are, I can go on and on talking about this and dancing around it. But you guys should really check this out. I know a lot of hip hop fans are ones that listen to Tupac and all that. They've seen this movie, so But this is one of the underrated, films really about black love and how, in my opinion, both parents really need to be in the house because you see that disconnect and miscommunication. And I'm glad that in the end, you know, getting over grief and getting over a lot of things, they were eventually, these two characters were, to pick up the pieces. And, like I said, both characters had experienced grief in the movie. And in the end, it was a good healing that came back, full circle. So, and I really believe it's a lot of things that people in this country really need right now. Not just black people, but anyone suffering from any kind of grief. Even though black people had it the most, mainly because we've done this shit to each other. It's not just the so-called white man doing this, but it's just a lot of shit that didn't really need to happen, and it just sucks that it is the way it is. But pretty much is all I have to say. I will see you guys in the next review, which I can't wait to do. Most likely it's gonna be Juice and Tupac Resurrection, and then All Eyes on Me, and then Straight Outta Compton, and then Notorious. Hopefully all those in order. So, talk to you guys later. Well, most likely it will be. Can't really do shit because of this corona, but talk to you guys later. Peace.